In the twilight years of life, the believer realizes that faith in God is not only a source of strength, but also a guiding light for the soul. Despite the many challenges life presents, the image of God remains ever present, like a close friend, comforting and supporting. In moments of prayer, the believer feels a profound peace as all worries seem to fade away. God is a refuge and an endless source of hope, helping the believer to view life with gratitude and love. Through memories and lessons learned, the believer understands that faith is the key to overcoming all trials, and it is also a precious legacy to share with future generations. Look at your hands and answer to God how they have been and are being used. An elderly man, over 90 years old, sat weakly on a park bench. He didn't move, just sat with his head bowed down, staring intently at his hands. When I approached and sat next to him, he didn't seem to notice my presence. The longer I sat, the more I wondered and worried if he was okay. Finally, though I didn't want to disturb him, my concern led me to bravely ask how he was, whether he was feeling all right. The man looked up, smiled at me, and said, "Oh yes, I'm fine. Thank you for asking," he said in a clear voice. "I really didn't mean to bother you," I explained, "but I noticed you sitting here looking at your hands for so long, and I couldn't help but wonder what you were thinking. I just wanted to make sure you were okay." He replied, "Have you ever looked at your hands? I mean, really looked at them?" I slowly opened my hands and looked at them. I turned them over, examining both sides. No, I guessed I had never truly looked at my hands like I was now, after his question. Then he smiled and said, "Take a moment and think about your hands, how they have helped and served you over the years. These wrinkled and frail hands of mine have been useful tools throughout my life, reaching, grasping, and embracing life itself. They held me steady as I learned to walk when I was just a child. They fed me, clothed me. As a child, my mother taught me to clasp these hands in prayer to God. They tied my shoes and helped me put on boots. They wiped away the tears of my children and gently held the love of my life. They carried weapons and wiped my tears when I went off to war. They became dirty, injured, swollen, and scratched. They were clumsy when I tried to cradle my newborn son. Adorned with a wedding ring, they told the world that I had committed myself to someone very special. They wrote letters home. They trembled as I buried my parents and my wife, and they shook with emotion as I walked my daughter down the aisle at her wedding. Yet they were strong and firm. They held my children's hands, comforted neighbors, and even formed fists in anger when I didn't understand the situation. They covered my face, combed my hair, and bathed my body. Sometimes they became cold and clammy, rough and worn. And now, as most of my body no longer functions as it once did, these hands still help me rise, support my body when I lie down, and once again clasp together as I pray. These hands have marked the places I've been and the hardships of my life. But more importantly, God will reach out and take these hands when He leads me home. He won't care where these hands have been or what they've done. What matters to Him is who these hands belong to and how much He loves them. And with these hands, He will lead me to His side, and I will use them to touch the loving face of Christ. Oh, what a glorious day that will be. Indeed, God has given each of us a life, equipped with a body to act. Our hands are uniquely versatile parts, allowing us to do many different things. God loves us and grants us abilities, and surely He desires that we use them wisely and fruitfully. Perhaps your hands are used to help others, to give, or to do heavy work for your parents or loved ones. Maybe you use them to play the piano for the church. Or maybe these very hands seek to gather selfish gain, to reach for others' money, or point fingers in blame. Look at your hands and answer to God how they have been and are being used, and use them with gratitude to God.